Welcome to Murovanka. Now, the main points for this map are going to be along here, the magical forest of death, and the middle of the map. I say the middle of the map because it's where you're going to get the most vision from, especially light tanks. This little field here, which split up into two sections, which is obviously your side, their side. This is where you're going to get the first bit of information in the game. So this is very nice and important. This is kind of just a stalemate. Whoever peaks first usually loses. And this, exactly the same kind of situation. This map is not really, it's not really the most fun to play, and it can easily be kind of long-winded and drawn out, and if the better team gets to the position first, then they win. And unfortunately, that's just how it is. There's nothing that you can really do about it. But yeah, let's now get into the spots. Starting off, as we always do, with the light tanks. Now, the first spot I'm going to show you is this spot here. The exact same thing as for the other side. You just drive straight there. It's pretty self-explanatory. I shouldn't really have to show you how to drive there. But this spot is going to be the first spot that you go to. There is a bush and bushes here, but the main thing you want to do is just peek up around here and then go back down. That's all that you really need to do. You don't want to over-peek this at all. There are bushes here, like this one, for example. However, my personal favourite one to go to is, if I don't see absolutely anyone here, then I'll just go into this bush, this one right here, because it's a little bit more bigger. And as long as you're in this bush and you don't go too far forwards, then you're fine. This bush works as well, but it's not as tall. So if there are people that are going past, then it might be a bit of an issue. But as you can see, there's only so much that they can see from that. And you'll spot anyone that's trying to go into the forest that have decided that they don't want to go the longer way around. And anyone that's trying to peek up there, then you'll be able to spot them. So it's really useful early on in the game. Exactly the same thing can be said for the other side. You can go into one of these bushes, or you just actively spot, and as soon as you go to about here, you'll be able to spot anyone that's pushing into the forest. And I mean like anyone. This side is a lot better to actually get some spots on people that are over here, whereas the other side is a little bit less, because as you can see, you can actually see a lot more into their side than you can onto this side, just by looking at the view range. So yeah, unless they go behind that kind of little ridge line over there, you won't be able to spot them. But anyone that's pushing through here, you should be able to get some spots on them. And then you just back off, and as long as you do this fast, you get some easy spots, and then hopefully artillery will be able to shoot them in a second, as soon as they're reloaded. So yeah, that's basically the first spot for light tanks. There are a few more that I will show you, but this is the main one that I would go to at the start of the game. Okay, so the next spot that I'm going to show you is this one right here. This is a spot that I would recommend people go to only if they need to spot people that are trying to push through here. So this is later on in the game. Don't do this right at the start because it's useless. But that does actually get you quite a bit of spotting if they're trying to push your base. However, this spot, if you want to go into it, especially these bushes here, are really useful early on in the game, because you'll be able to spot anyone that's pushing up here. So what you can do is, as long as you sit, say, in this bush here, and you go back a little bit, and we disable the engine mode because, yep, you'll be able to spot anyone here, which is really, really useful. Tank destroyers and anyone else love to go up here. So early on in the game, if you can't get to that spot, or light tanks have already gone here, then you can just use this spot, and it works really well. So yeah, the exact same thing can be said for the other side by going into that bush there, which I'll show you now. But besides that, that's pretty much the only positions that I would recommend you go to, at least for the new player. There's no point trying to get into the other positions. I mean, there are other positions that you can find, but I'm not going to show you them because, you could, for example, try and go into the city and then push up to this bush here or whatever, and or you could go into the middle of the map. But all of those have their risks, and it's not really worth it. And you need to know when to actually be able to push into those positions. So yeah, this is aimed at the new player and mostly of this, like starting out at the start of the game. But I mean, apart from that position and this position, like these are later on in the game, they can work as well. There's also plenty of bushes at the back that you can use later on in the game. So just keep all of that in mind and you'll be good. But yeah, that's pretty much light tanks done. Okay, so for the medium tanks, the main spot I'm going to show you here is around this area. This does mean that, I mean, heavy tanks for this map, like the only place that you can really go is here and here for heavy tanks. So I'm probably not going to show heavy tanks, and I'll put them into the medium tanks, just simply because you're going to either go here or here. Like, there's nothing really to speak about for the heavy tanks too much on this map. You just try and find a hold down spot and just go there, and that's all that you're really going to do. But for the medium tanks and some heavy tanks, you can basically use these two ridge lines as your kind of cover. Straight away, you're going to be seeing a few people that get spotted here. So you could either go up here and then shoot it down if you're an S2E1 or something like that. Or alternatively, you just go along this ridge line and just try and play in that hold down spot. You can cross to here, but the main thing that you want to watch out for is when you cross here is that no one's going to peek over this side. So if you have no one else in here with you, do not go in there. There's no point. You might as well stay behind this one and then just peek up and as and when you can. Another thing that you can do, you can go and sit in this forest area here. This kind of applies for both sides. The exact same thing. Obviously, it's just for the opposite. You either just stay down here or you can push through, vice versa. So yeah, that's pretty much this side of the map in the forest area talked about. Let's now move over to this side. Okay, so for this side of the map, it's a little bit awkward, to be fair, for this side. This side is kind of a disadvantage because you don't have as much kind of flat ground to go up. This is all very, very steep terrain here, whereas over the other side, it's not so bad. However, you can go and just try and side scrape-ish kind of here. But if you do have the speed, if you're in something like a 277, you can actually just go over here and then just go and deal with this right here. Especially if you're an STB1, push over this, get onto this ridge line. You'll spot anyone that's camping over there in TDs and anyone that's camping over this side, which is what I mean. Like, it's relatively flat here, so you can go there even with tanks that don't have as good gun depression. You're safe from artillery on both sides, apart from if it's a CGC, because that thing has like a broken gun arc. But besides that, it's pretty standard. You just go there, just try not to get hit, and honestly, that's just the best thing to do. But yeah, enough of the waffling on. Let's now move on to the TDs, because I'm not going to speak about heavies because I've already kind of spoken about them in this. There are other spots, obviously, and as you progress through the game, you'll just need to find those spots, because I can't tell you how to play the game if I don't know what the situation is. So, you know, if you're, for example, losing this side completely, then you can fall back to here. Or if you lost this side completely, you can fall back to here. You just fall back and then just, you know, progress up. There's plenty of spots that you can go to that have got lots of cover, but you'll discover them as and when you progress through the game. So yeah, moving on to the TDs now. Okay, so the TDs, and of course you can incorporate some of these spots into medium tanks, if that's kind of, you know, like with the Leo, for example. I'll sometimes use the tank destroyer spots because it does have an accurate gun. So, you know, you can incorporate these spots into your games with other tanks, but, you know, just because I say it's a tank destroyer spot doesn't mean that it has to be a tank destroyer spot, and vice versa for everything else. The first spot that I'm going to show you is this. This spot is actually a very, very, very good defensive spot for a heavy tank. If you lose this completely. If you have something that's got hold down potential, then go here, because then you can actually go hold down over every one of these. The only thing that it's like an issue is that you can get shot from the side. But besides that, this is a solid spot, especially if you can go like this and then keep this bush completely solid, so that it just gives you a little bit more camo for when you're shooting through the bush. But yeah, that's the spot number one. We're now going to go up to here, and then we'll move round to this spot here and this spot here, and we'll finish up the video. Okay, so this spot over here, there are a few bushes that you can go to. The first one that I'm going to show you is this one up here, but you can go to this one also here. So basically this position here allows you to shoot anyone that's tall enough to, you know, if there's a Type 5 heavy there or something, or a very, very tall tank that's coming this way, then you can get some very nice shots onto them. Also, anyone that's sitting up here, anyone that's sitting over there, lots and lots of shots and damage opportunity right here. You can push up later on in the game through the village or this little, you know, town, and then move around for the flank. The same thing for over this side, you can push around like this. But yeah, this spot is the kind of other side for this, and this is how you will support any heavy tanks or medium tanks that are pushing through here. You can get some very good damage games, especially if they keep peeking up here, and as long as you have an accurate gun, you have a lot of damage. So yeah, that's this spot here done. Now for this spot, this is going to be the best defensive place that you can be. Anywhere around this little kind of corner bit, or like triangle sort of thing, like if you go across like this, in this little bottom left hand corner, you will be able to just sit and find a bush and pretty much kill anything that's coming through. But the one place that I do like is this bush here, and as long as you have enough gun depression, you can actually go here. The Scorpion G doesn't quite have enough, but you can still use this as long as you're sitting still and fire, and then you shouldn't get detected. Depends on what view range they have, because this bush does act as some sort of cover. So yeah, this spot is very, very nice. Exactly the same kind of story from this side has been translated over to here. You can shoot anyone up here, anyone there. You can also fall back and then shoot anyone over that way. It's a very nice solid bush to be in, and you'll see a lot of TDs that go over here because of the fact that you can get so much damage out of it. But let's now move around to the final place, which is going to be over here. And as you can see, you know, there's loads of bushes that you can sit in if you want to try and take the base back. But yeah, let's move over here now. Okay, so the first spot over here that I'm going to show you is actually these bushes right here. Any one of these bushes will actually help you stop a push coming from the actual forest, the magical forest of death. And like, it's just a good spot. Like any one of these bushes, you just sit here. As long as you have someone to spot, then you'll do a lot of damage out of this. But the main spot that I'm going to show you is actually this spot around here. You'll notice that a lot of people actually go and sit along this ridgeline, or that ridgeline right there. Honestly, like, yes, that works. But the one spot that I really like to sit in is this spot right here. Now, you're completely invisible to anyone that's pushing up through here, and you'll have plenty of shots. As you can see, if you look on the map, you can see that I'm aiming straight down here, and I have the ability to aim all the way down to the right hand side as well. So this spot is super powerful, and if you ever start getting shot at from people that are sitting over here, you now know where they are. Like, they're in this corner, either that or they're in this corner, whatever. They'll be along this side, and there's loads and loads of bushes that you just won't be able to spot them out of, unless they kind of make a mistake and go too far forwards. But not only do you have this bush covering you, you have the next bush over there, and you're well within 15 away from 15 meters. So you won't get spotted as you shoot unless they push up to here. So yeah, this spot is a god tier spot that you just want to get some quick damage out of it. But yeah, there's plenty of spots with plenty of different tanks. As I said, heavy tanks, you can go here or here. Don't really go anywhere else, there's no point. But yeah, that's Murovanka. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If then you know what to do. And yeah, I'll see you all in a bit.